Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I'm Mr. Miller again for part two of our 1.4 notes there. We are going to work on the back side of those now. So we'll start out with our 3x minus, or excuse me, 3 times the absolute value of 2x minus 8 plus 3 equals 2. Notice here, I'm going to ignore that. That shouldn't be in the screen. Notice here it says solve if possible. So in these problems here, we can have no solution, we can have two solutions, or we might just have one solution. So we're going to go through a couple examples here, working through and showing you all the different ones. So first things first, we'll start out with our first one here. We have, again, got to get our absolute value by itself. So order of operations, working that backwards. So I'm going to subtract my 3. So then we get 3 times the quantity, 2x minus 8 equals minus 1. Next, we need to, again, still get our absolute value together. And then we get 3 that is being divided from both sides. And we're left the absolute value of 2x minus 8 is going to equal a minus 1/3. Now that right there should bring up some red flags. Because what we've learned is that if you are taking the absolute value of something, that is the distance away from 0. Distance is always a positive answer. So right now I'm saying this, which should be a positive answer, is going to equal a negative 1/3. That cannot happen. We could continue to break this down into the two ors, and we would get false information. And I'll show that to you on a later problem, but right now, that's your clue. As long as you've done all of your algebra correct here in the top part, anytime you get the absolute value, it cannot equal a minus 1. So there are no solutions for this one. It's not possible. We're not going to get an x equals this or an x equals that. There's no solutions right there. So save yourself a lot of troubles and just stop with that one. For the next one here, I think I'm going to give this one to you as another checkpoint here to try. You will find that there's actually two solutions to this one, and it's very similar to the same problems we did over here on the other side together. Our 4 times the quantity, t plus 9 minus 5 equals 19. So we've already gone through one of those. So that'll be another good checkpoint for you. So you will get 2 answers for your n here. All right. And you might need a little more space to check those to make sure that they work. All right. Again, let's go through this next one. So here I have a positive 4. So I need to subtract that first, because again, we have to get the absolute value by itself. So we have 2 absolute value m minus 5. All that equals minus 2. Need to divide by 2, get it by itself, the absolute value. So absolute value of m equals, absolute value m minus 5 equals a negative 1. Again, This one's a little nicer. This is why I'm going to show you this one versus the last one, which has a bunch of fractions in it. But again, right now, I know there are no solutions. So right now, from that information, no solutions. Let's check it. So if we were to continue this, let's say we miss that step, we would say m minus 5 equals minus 1, or m minus 5 equals a positive 1. We would add 5 to both sides, and I'll do it to both equations right now because it's all the same. And then you get an m equals minus 4, if I can write that in there correctly, or we get m equals 6. So if I check my work, and I'm actually going to use this space over here to check my work. Actually, I'll just squeeze it in. We will see we're going to get a false piece of information. So I'm going to use this one over here. Doesn't matter. You're going to check them both. I'll do this one first and then squeeze the other one into the right. So again, I go back to my original equation, plug in my 6 minus my 5 plus my 4. All that equals 2. Again, a couple ways you can go through this. I'm going to subtract my 4 first, and then maybe I do a little cleanup in my head here. This becomes 1, absolute value of 1 is 1, so I just will multiply that, and I already subtracted that, or excuse me, yeah, subtracted that, I need to do that, so it gives us minus 2. So this says 2 equals a negative 2. Can 2 equal a negative 2? And the answer is absolutely not. And then we can continue on checking the other one. And then, again, that can't be equal, so checking our other one with the minus 4 in there. So I have 2 absolute value, plug in my minus 4, minus my 5, plus 4 more equals 2. Again, you're plugging it into the original equation here at the top. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up here mentally, so this comes out to equal 9. That is negative. The absolute values are going to make that a positive 9. 9 times 2 gives me 18, plus 4 more has to equal 2, and we can start to see that is not correct. That is why we have no solution for this problem. So again, solve if possible. All right. Here we go with another new one. So we have here 3x minus 4, that's all in absolute values, equals the absolute value of x. So we already know what the absolute value of x is. So that is going to either be an x or a negative x. We treat this just the same like we have before, where we have this is all absolute values on the left side, so we let it equal to a positive or negative of the right side. So starting out simple, we can jump right into our equations. So we have 3x minus 4 equals x, or 3x minus 4 equals a minus x. So again, we can jump right into that. Go through and solve them for x's now. So I'm going to go ahead and add 4 to all of them right across the board. So we get 3x equals x plus 4, and we get 3x equals negative x plus 4. This is where you need to adjust. It won't be the same all the way across the board. So we have a positive x on this one, so we're going to subtract x from both sides. So we get 2x equals 4. And then over here we have a negative x, so we're going to add x to both sides. So we get 4x equals 4. Divide by 2 on both sides. Oh, geez, don't do that. I got back into my pattern. Divide by 4 on that one and clean it up. So maybe it might be better just to continue doing the one on the left and continue doing the one on the right so you don't make that same mistake I just made. Luckily I caught it. So x is going to come out to equal 2, or x is going to come out to equal 1. Again, we need to check our work, all right, because these are solve if possible. We're going to run into a situation where well, we already have no solutions. We're going to have solutions that have 2 answers as a solution, or we're going to have a single solution here. So we want to make sure that both of these work, so we do have to plug them back in to make sure both of them work. So here, plugging in the 2 first, I have 3 times 2 minus my 4, all that equals my absolute value of 2. So again, a little mental math here. That's going to be 6 minus 4, which that's going to give me the absolute value of 2, which equals the absolute value of 2. So yes, 2 works. My 3, or excuse me, plugging this back in, my answer of x equals 1. So absolute value of 3 times 1 minus 4, that should be a straight line, equals my absolute value of 1. Mental math, that becomes 3. Subtract 4 from that, that becomes the absolute value of minus 1, which equals the absolute value of 1. And we get 1 equals 1. So, yes, both of my answers work perfectly fine there. All right, so this next one, I'm going to help get you started just because it looks slightly different. But again, all of our absolute value stuff is centered here on the left side in absolute values, so we don't need to do anything with that. So what we'll do for this question is we jump right into our OR. So here we go. It is 4x minus 10 equals, so again, you're dropping the absolute values, equals a 2, and they still act like parentheses. We got to substitute those in. So parentheses 3x plus 1. Or, again, dropping my parentheses, 4x minus 10 equals, this was the positive answer. Now we need to do the minus answer. So it's a negative 2 times the quantity 3x plus 1. So I got you started on that one. I want you to finish those two to see if it comes out to looking for a negative, like we got up here. If we get our absolute values, which we're already past that, so hint, hint, you're going to have at least a solution. So solving for x, plugging it back in, seeing if it works. Solving for x, plugging it back in, seeing if it works. All right. So I would definitely have another piece of scrap paper for this one. It takes up quite a lot of space if you write larger. And I'll post those checks later. Continuing, we have our 2x plus 12 equals 4x. I do want to show you when we do get one that works out as just a single solution. Extraneous is what it's referred to as when it has only one extraneous solution, one solution. So let's go ahead and do that one. All set, parentheses, the absolute values are all by themselves on the left side, so we can go right into our OR statement. 2x plus 12 is going to equal 4x, or 2x plus 12 is going to equal minus 4x. Don't forget my x. I'll go ahead and get rid of the 2x's. So minus 2x. And you can do it on both sides here, but then you want to just keep them all by themselves after this point. So we get 12 equals 2x, and then on the other side we get 12 equals a minus 6x. Divide by 2 on both sides. This comes out to be equal 6. Divide by negative 6, divide by negative 6, and x comes out to equal a minus 2. So again, we want to check our answers. Yes, we have them. We want to make sure that they work. So plugging it in. 2 times 6 plus 12 more is going to be equal to 4 times 6. Mental math, 2 times 6 is 12. 12 plus 12 is 24. And I'm going to take that right out. Well, I'll leave it in the absolute value of 24. 24. And 4 times 6 is 24. So 24 equals 24. Yes, that works. That one's beautiful. Let's check the second one. Not going to be so nice here. So, plugging it in, absolute value, 2 times a minus 2 plus 12 more equals 4 times a minus 2. Cleaning that up, we'll write a little bit more on this one. Minus 4 plus 12 equals a minus 8. Notice here again, can an absolute value equal a negative answer? So it's going to fail. I'll go a little further with this. So this is going to come out to the absolute value of 8 equals minus 8. And we get 8 equals negative 8. That is not good. So this answer right here does not work. So we only have one answer for this problem. I am going to let you do the last one here on your own, and we'll check in with those later.